You know, folks, I'm asked time and time again, what is this drainage business all about around the home? When I say perimeter drainage is the weeping tiles around your footings that become blocked, clogged, root infestation. All these things cause problems with wet feet. We call it wet feet in the industry. I know it sounds kind of comical, but what happens is your home, all the water in the ground, your footings become very, very wet. In fact, water will build up against the footing and up against the wall just like a dam. And eventually what happens, the water will be hydraulically pushed down around your footings and come up right onto the inside of the home. And you got wet crawl spaces, you got wet basements. So I thought what we'd do today is show you just exactly what this whole perimeter drainage or drain tile cleaning is all about. And with me today, I brought out Bob from our House Smart Drainage Company, Avante. How you doing, Bob?
Hey, Shell, really well, thanks.
You know, it's really an interesting project. I know when it comes to having a home that you really want to keep dry, you want to keep that moisture out, you don't want that condensation forming in the winter months, and you certainly don't want wet basements. But you know, one of the biggest problems is, where the Sam heck is that doggone sump?
Yeah, you know, Shell, sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating. We're lucky enough here to be able to see the sump at the proper elevation. There's many homes that we go to where the sump is buried as much as even 6 or 12 inches underground. So sometimes poking around to find the sump, if you will, is a little bit of a challenge.
Well, I see you got the crew here. They might as well come in and start clearing around the sump. And this is one of the most, I guess, concerns that some homeowners don't even realize they got a sump. What do you have to do in order to locate sumps?
There's a couple of ways to go about it. First of all, you can contact the local municipality. Quite often in a newer home, they have a record of exactly where the drain tile was laid and where the sump is and where the connection to the municipality is. And in other cases, we're left to do a little bit of exploratory work with tools to poke into the ground or you know, use experience to find exactly where we think it is.
Now, I see they got the lid pulled off here already, and looking down into the sump. What is your first comment that you can make with regards to this sump? Now, is this a collector sump?
Yeah, basically what it is all the drain lines that travel around the home next to the footing and below the floor slab collect water and it deposits into here. And in theory, what we want to do is any sediment that comes out of the ground from your home to be filtered into the bottom of the collector before then traveling out to the municipality. That way the water that goes into our streams and into the ocean is going to be clean, clear water and not plug the city line up and not put anything to deposit into the ocean as well.
Excellent. Now, this particular home here is sitting at an elevation off the main avenue and streets in this area, about maybe 6 to 8 feet. But also that back in behind this home, there's about a 5-acre park that also drains this way. So that way it becomes very damp. And I understand from the homeowner here that they put in perimeter drainage around their backyard to drain the backyard area as well into this sump and then away again to the storm sewer system.
Yeah, you know, it's very common that even when your drain tile is doing its job, that when you have a large parcel of land next to this property like we do, maybe there's a lot of runoff water into your yard. So if you find that your yard in the middle of winter is inaccessible, you can't walk through it, it's sobbing wet, then something like what's happened here is there's been some yard drainage added. It's a pipe that's not necessarily very deep below the ground that collects the water through gravel and pipe and once again puts it into here as well. So this particular home has not only house foundation drain tile, weeping tile, but it also has yard drainage as well, collecting water out of the backyard. One of the things that we should do, Shell, is actually flush the outgoing line first. In the event that we didn't do that and we flushed the perimeter drainage and lots of debris and sediment came in, if the outgoing line was a concern or an issue, it would then back up and create a larger problem for us. So the first thing we want to do is flush the outgoing line so that all the water that we bring back through cleaning ends up out at the city. As we look down into the catch basin, that's the one with the white PVC-T in the catch basin.
Now, Bob, this almost looks like a whisker from somebody down underneath the ground, but it looks like a root to me that the jetter brought back. What is it?
Absolutely, Shell. It's basically the beginning stages of root infestation. It's as the jetter traveled from the catch basin out to the city line, there must have been some roots growing in the pipe. And by bringing the jetter back under pressure, we draw that root system back into the catch basin basin, and this is what we recovered. So we'll now be able to follow that up with the camera and make sure that it's absolutely perfectly clear.
You're right. Now, that if it was in that PVC, because that's in the solid pipe, isn't it, that goes out to the city. Now, would that come in around a joint or?
Yeah, it's possible with the foliage that we have around the sump that maybe it's just come in right around where the grouting was done, where the initial pipe was run through into there. But once again, we'll be able to figure all that out. And as for grouting around that line, simple fix.
We'll see if it's clean.
Absolutely.
When you get down into the actual sump itself, what happens now? What takes place?
Well, basically, we use a 3,000 psi power washer to increase your home water pressure to 3,000 psi at 4 gallons per minute. That then travels through a hose and into a head, which we call a jetter. A jetter hose is what I'm holding here, and there's basically 3 little holes in the jetter. And when we have the water travel through the jetter hose, it increases the pressure from 3,000 to 5,500 pounds per square inch, and at 4 gallons a minute. So now we have this head here, this little brass head that spins and propels water against the walls of the pipe, and it actually self-travels through the drain line.
Pulling itself through the pipeline.
Right. It actually augers by forcing water against the walls of the pipe. So once we've gone up 50, 60, 80 feet, then we draw it back under pressure and draw all the sediment that we've been able to clear from the inside of the pipe back into the catch basin as well. Once again, your garbage collector.
No, that will go in, obviously, clean out areas, or it would, I guess, go right around the house in the event if it had the right 90 as far as corners in the piping.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the best scenario is more clean outs the better. So not only we have the chance to clean through the catch basin or the sump, but also on a house with many corners, if we have 4 or 5 different areas with cleanouts, then we can send it in through there as well. The hose is so pressurized that if it goes through 6 or 8 corners, it ends up becoming rigid and stiff.
Right.
And so therefore the more cleanouts the better as well.
Right. Now what happens if there's an obstruction? If you found that if that jetter wasn't able to get through and you're aware that it should get through because of the straight run that it's going through, what happens if there's a blockage? What do you do?
Well, we certainly try to work it as best we can with the jetter, and there comes a point where you're not going to get any further with it. So the jetter's then retrieved, and we have a camera, a video inspection camera, that's a little larger than this in diameter that we push inside the pipe, and we can actually video inspect what's going on inside the pipe. The really important thing is that the pipe is clean inside. The camera basically has a little eye on the end.
Right.
And if you get mud or dirt on the end, of course you can't see. So
Right.
the cleaning is the most important part first,
Right.
followed then by the video camera inspection. And if this home had roots in it, or if it had a broken pipe or a collapsed, or if it was back graded, all the issues that might lean towards a water problem, we'd be able to see it through the camera. The head diving underwater, or the roots ahead of us, and we'd be able to make a DVD video, pass it on to the homeowner, and then they'd see the problem.
Here's one for you.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if it stops somewhere down that long run, say at the back of the house, or the side of the house? How do you know where that camera head is to identify where that blockage is?
Yeah, there's 2 ways. First of all, the camera has a counter on it, so when we put it in, it starts at 0, and it would go in 74.8 feet, and we'd know exactly 74.8 feet down the line was where we saw the root, and we'd be able to specifically dig.
Right.
And that's been probably the greatest innovation in drain tile repair versus replacement.
You're not digging up the whole house, you're only digging up where the repairs were.
Absolutely, especially if you have a beautiful driveway or a pool deck or something.
Right.
Maybe the problem's not there, maybe the problem's somewhere else, so we're able to identify exactly where it is.
Well, really having companies like Avante, part of our whole house smart drainage system, cleaning and maintenance, it's nice to have people like you on board, and I want to say thank you so much for coming out and giving the full rundown and making it look just that easy.
Thank you, Sean.
You betcha.